A local folk singer has written a musical drama about Anta Majigeen Jai. She was a slave married to plantation owner Zephaniah Kingsley. He changed her name to Anna Kingsley, and she became the matriarch and manager of the Kingsley plantation. Playwright Jennifer Chase says the idea for the project was born in Senegal, where she traveled after receiving a Rotary International scholarship to research Anna Kingsley's history.
The pivotal moment for me was standing in the doorway of no return at the island of Gorée in Dakar, Senegal, where hundreds of thousands, possibly millions, of Africans passed through their final moments before being loaded onto slave ships and brought into the West.
What was that moment for you?
Well, I was really overwhelmed standing in that place as a woman, as a mother, as a citizen of the world, to think of how you can look at any epic, horrific event in our history, the Holocaust, the Atlantic slave trade. It's overwhelming when you study it. However, when you have a face, Anne Frank, when you have a story, Anna Kingsley, and you're standing, I'm getting really emotional just thinking about it, but you're standing in that place, millions of people become one person that you know lived and you know about, and it's even more powerful sometimes when you can make that kind of connection, that she was a woman like me, she was a daughter, she was a mother eventually. And so when I attached this person's spirit and stood in that doorway, this beautiful place, and realized such a horrific event happened there, it was really powerful. And I was called kind of to write her story through song.
How much of your research and the actual history of her life is included in the script, and how much of it is a dramatization?
I would say that the framework for the story that I've written is based on the historical events that Dan Schaefer spent a lot of time documenting. However, a great amount of my research is my experiences in Senegal with Senegalese people. Many of the characters are based on real people that I have close friendships with, an extended family.
Now, Zephaniah Kingsley had some very complex ideas about race and about slavery. Of course, he warned about the dangers of racial prejudice, and he married an African woman, but at the same time, he still owned slaves. So how do you address those issues and perspectives in the play?
It's a touchy subject because that's where the operative word of fiction comes into my historical fiction, and I think that a creative license is a nice thing to have at times. A historian has a greater responsibility. I'm speculating, and I'm not attempting to form an apology for my race or anyone else's race or explanation. I really don't know how Zephaniah dealt with those issues. My choice in portraying Zephaniah through his theme song throughout the play is Right and Wrong. Honey, I swear it isn't easy knowing right from wrong. He follows Anta around and says to her constantly, "Are you angry with me? Did you ever really love me? I really loved you. I know it seems like I made a lot of mistakes, and I did, but it's hard to, it was a fine line." Forgive me before I go. So he's honest through the way I've tried to portray Zephaniah in his shortcomings and his attempts, and he's pleading with her. Really, Anta is the ideal, and everyone else in the play, the king that sold his own people into slavery, King Ndela, has a song that's tongue-in-cheek and quite funny, and hopefully the audience identifies with him, which I imagine they do, because he's quite popular in the play. But he says throughout the entire thing, if you were in my shoes, you'd have done the same thing too.
wealth of my family is my priority. It's what I'm supposed to do. And you're within my shoes. You do the same thing too.
So Anta is this ideal, this stoic, courageous, beautiful, strong presence, and everyone else is fallible and like you and me.
Why do you think it's important for people who live in this area to know this part of our history?
Yeah, I'm really happy that this is our history, and I'm glad that that you worded it that way. Because this isn't Black history or just something for African Americans. This is all of our history, American history and African history and European history. And we're all citizens of the world. Of course, here we have the added benefit that we have access to the place where Anna Kingsley actually lived and ran the plantation at the Kingsley Plantation. To me, that's a benefit. But I asked friends, family, and people that came from miles away in different states how they identified with the play and how they felt about it, because I was curious as if it would stand alone without that local connection that we all have. And I found that across the board, it's a story that speaks to most of us.
All right. Well, Jennifer Chase, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks very much.
Playwright Jennifer Chase spoke with us here in our studio. Her musical drama, Majigeen, runs Friday and Saturday nights at 7:30 at the FCCJ Kent campus. I'm Karen Feagins, 89.9 WJCT News.